is up, ladies and gentlemen? It is Kevin Jackwitz here with the Caged Review, and we are going to review the WWE SmackDown WrestleMania Go Home show. It's for April 3rd, 2018. And after Monday Night Raw, it's really not going to be that hard to be better than they were this week. Raw was a disaster. And there's a lot of things you have to build up here for SmackDown. You have to have, hopefully, some kind of interaction here between Asuka and Charlotte. You have to build up Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan teaming up for the match against Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens. You have the Fatal 4-Way for the U.S. Championship. So there's a lot of things they need to touch base on, and I think they did a lot better job than Raw did as far as building. Now, having said that, WWE has been pretty entertaining over the last few weeks, few months I should say, except for the last couple of weeks where they have really fallen off again. It seems like the closer they're getting to WrestleMania, the worse it's getting. And that really says something. So, I don't know if this was really what they needed. There were still some empty spots here. There were a lot of promo packages that were a waste of time. There were a couple of matches that I don't feel really should have been as big a segment as they were. So we'll get into that. We start out with Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. And it's basically a love fest. Shane McMahon comes back after his beating, the diverticulitis and the hernia surgery, and apparently everything's good to go. He's good for the match at WrestleMania. He's been cleared. So we know that it is going to be Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan, and they have this big segment where they're making up. Daniel Bryan's talking about, we need to hug it out, blah, blah, blah. So it kind of establishes they are going to be good to go. They're on the same page. Okay, good. Not the best opening segment that they could have had, but it is kind of cool because it is establishing one of their main matches is for sure a go. So that's decent. It was a decent opening. The crowd was definitely popping for Daniel Bryan, of course. I thought they could have done a lot more with it, but it wasn't horrible either. So, we'll call that one even. And then you come out, you have Charlotte Flair. She comes out with her match against Natalya. These two are always pretty good. And it was a good match. It was, pretty physical, which is the way these two women usually take it. But they also have some very good mat wrestling. They have a lot of good exchanges that I really like. And so I really appreciate the technical wrestling that Charlotte Flair and Natalya have. Of course, towards the end of the match, there's a spot where Natalya gets over on Charlotte. Charlotte's hurt. Carmella comes down with her briefcase, and I am so sick of this girl being in there with real women's wrestlers. She's not a wrestler. She's a personality, but she's not a wrestler. And she's not in the same league as Charlotte. She's not in the same league as Asuka. She's not in the same league as Natalya. She could be the most likable person in the world in real life, but in the ring, she's not an athlete. So, that being said, she goes in for the fake cash-in. Doesn't work. Natalya goes to pin Charlotte Flair. Flair kicks out of 2 because that was kind of what happened 2 weeks ago. They put Natalya over Charlotte, exact same way. Carmella interfered, and then Natalya tries to capitalize. This time, thankfully, it doesn't work, and Charlotte Flair actually gets the win. So I did like that. Didn't want to see Carmella out there, and I don't want to see Carmella out there at WrestleMania. I just don't. That being said, Asuka comes down afterwards, and there's a face-off between Asuka and Charlotte Flair. And I love Corey Graves because Byron Saxton just miscues and says so many wrong things. And Corey Graves is not the company guy that Michael Cole is. Michael Cole will try to cover it up or, make it sound like, something else. Corey Graves just straight up points out, dude, you're being an idiot. Byron Saxton was like, this is the last time Asuka and Charlotte's going to stand in the ring together before WrestleMania 8 days from now. And Corey Graves is like, what are you talking about? They're going to be in the same ring in the Mixed Match Challenge in 2 hours, you derelict. I love it. Corey Graves is greatness on the mic. You just have to give it to him all the time. And honestly, that to me was better than the standoff between Asuka and Charlotte Flair. It was just greatness. AJ Styles does a backstage promo afterwards where he says, I know Shinsuke's playing games with me, and AJ's like, I take this serious, and I've been fighting with the big dogs a long time. That's how I'm the champion. So, pretty short, decent promo. Nothing to write home about, but, not terrible either. Then you get Bobby Roode coming down to commentary, and that is right before commercial break. Commercial comes back, and it's Rusev versus Jinder. Because I'm not necessarily a big fan of the brawling style, Rusev and Jinder are both kind of brawlers. It's just not necessarily my shtick. So the match was, it was okay for what it was. Rusev gets the win on Jinder. And I love how they pan the cameras and these RKOs from out of nowhere, because you literally don't see Randy Orton coming until it's an RKO. And then you're just like, wow. So they did a really good job with making this RKO from Randy Orton when he runs into the ring really look like it's out of nowhere. And then Jinder Mahal starts to attack Orton. Orton still gets the upper hand. RKO. Actually, he RKOs Aiden English too. And then Bobby Roode comes into the ring, picks up the U.S. belt, hands it to Randy Orton, kind of a sign of respect. And that's where that leaves off. You have a backstage segment after that where the New Day is plugging you can get WrestleMania for free if you join the WWE Network, if you're a first-time subscriber. And then the Usos come in and they're saying, well, we're going to win the triple threat. And then, of course, the Bludgeon Brothers come in right after, and both other teams just kind of step out of the way. After that, you have Dolph Ziggler, Mojo Rawley, Baron Corbin, and Primo Colon, of all people, versus Tyler Breeze, Fandango, Zack Ryder, and Ty Dillinger. So these are a bunch of names that hasn't really done a whole hell of a lot lately, really including Dolph Ziggler. Baron Corbin, it's kind of funny he's in that part because it shows where he stands in this. It was just a 4-on-4 tag team match that kind of had elements of the match that were precursors to the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. And I don't know that this is a match that you really need to focus on. You've got a bunch of no-names, and honestly, it's a pre-show match that not too many people are really going to care about. Battle Royals are fun, but when they're a bunch of low mid-carders, you're not going to have too many people that invested in it, to be very honest. So I really felt like it was a waste of space, and a long waste of space. At the end of the day, Dolph Ziggler, Mojo Rawley, Baron Corbin, and Primo won. Baron Corbin hit End of Days on, I think it was Fandango. I don't even remember exactly who it was, but at any rate, yeah, it was Fandango. And that's the win, and really no stakes, and I don't know that anybody cares. From there, you have a backstage segment with Shelton Benjamin and Chad Gable saying that Nakamura and AJ Styles, who they have a match with later, don't need to be worrying at their match at WrestleMania. They need to be worrying about Benjamin and Gable, and they're going to be sending him into WrestleMania limping. We all know that that's not going to happen. But whatever. And it's kind of interesting that they've picked Benjamin and Gable as like the last couple of weeks worth of opponent for Nakamura and AJ Styles, because they're both very good wrestlers. They haven't done a whole hell of a lot lately, but they are good wrestlers. They're very good in the ring. And so it makes for some good matches. But at the end of the day, you know who's going to win, and you know all it's doing is trying to create this tension between Nakamura and AJ Styles. After that, you have Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens run through the crowd onto the announce table. They have microphones. They're doing a promo talking about how they're glad they're back and they're going to, hurt Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon. And you go backstage and you see both of McMahon and Bryan staring at a monitor, and they're saying, all right, let's go save our piece. And it was really kind of a wasted segment. There was no lockup. There was no action. It was just a bunch of talking. Owens and Zayn finished what they were saying and started walking back up through the crowd, up the stairs. And Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon come up the ramp and get the crowd chanting that nah, 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 hey, hey, goodbye. And I really felt like this was wasted. I really do. I think that there was a lot more that they could have done, and maybe it's because there's still things wrong with McMahon. Possibly, I don't know. But, I mean, you have to believe that they could have done a lot more and just chose not to for some reason. And it seems like maybe the WWE is just really lowering the quality of programming in the weeks coming up to WrestleMania, so WrestleMania seems all that much better, but that's really not how it works. If the show sucks, the show sucks. If you don't do anything to build it up to have great matches, you just don't have great matches. If the wrestlers can't perform, you don't have great matches. So I don't know if that's their thinking or what, because it just seems like they're intentionally making these shows prior to WrestleMania, especially these go-home shows, really weak. So, I don't know. So you finally get to the last match, which is Benjamin and Gable versus Nakamura and Styles. You have 4 really good performers in the ring, so you know it's going to be a good match regardless. And you know Nakamura and Styles are going to go over on each other. Or, I'm sorry, you know Nakamura and Styles are going to go over on Benjamin and Gable. So there's nothing really suspenseful about the match. Really nothing at all. The only suspense is what's going to happen after the match. So you have 25 minutes of foreplay before, okay, what's going to happen between these two. Which, again, I feel is kind of a wasted space. And so Nakamura last week, he has AJ in the center of the ring. AJ's down after getting jumped by Benjamin and Gable. Nakamura saves him. Then runs up like he's going to hit AJ with a Kinshasa, but doesn't, and just kind of taps him on the head. This week, it's just the reverse angle where Benjamin and Gable jump Nakamura. AJ Styles saves him and does the whole motion with a phenomenal forearm. Jumps up on the top rope and jumps towards Nakamura. Stops just short. Nakamura cringes. AJ just smiles and taps him on the head and leaves. And that's where they leave the show. I'll be honest, I thought the beginning was kind of weak and I thought the ending was kind of weak. They weren't as weak as Raw. It wasn't quite that bad, but it was still weak. Especially for a go-home show for WrestleMania. This is where you get everybody invested in the matches, and they're just not doing that. Like, if I'm a new fan and I see this stuff, I don't care. There is nothing to really get me invested in watching WrestleMania. So I think that WWE has really screwed it. And I mean bad, as far as interest in getting people watching WrestleMania. They really screwed up that Triple H, Stephanie McMahon, Ronda Rousey, Kurt Angle bit. I don't know what their thinking is. So, I mean, the Charlotte and Natalya match was pretty good. They had a couple of decent promos, nothing really big. Rusev and Jinder Mahal had stakes. The 4-on-4 tag match was big time wasted space. And with all the promos they had interjected there, especially another Asuka promo, I feel like everything was just very poorly done for the most part. I mean, I'd give this 4 out of 10 maybe? Maybe? Probably a 3 out of 10, I think. With all the promos and the wasted space and the big wasted matches, I feel like with the importance of this show, it doesn't deserve any higher than a 3 out of 10. So that's my thoughts on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you really think that it's as bad as I feel it is? Because I feel it's like pretty bad coming into WrestleMania. And if you enjoyed the review, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and share. My name is Kevin Jackwitz. Cage Nation out.